You're listening to the Things About Nature podcast. Coming to you from a city that never sleeps is me, your host, Rockshana. I invite you to join me in truly honest, passionate, and fun talks that motivate, invigorate, and maybe inspire. Even though we're no longer in the mile high, the sky is still the limit. Everything and anything goes. So let's start talking about things of that nature. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Things of That Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rockshana. And again, like always, I brought you guys a new guest who I'm excited for the conversation. I know, when am I not excited for these conversations? But it's going to be fun. So today we have Megan Henry. Hi, Megan. How's it going?
Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So where in the world are you?
So I'm actually in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're my neighbor.
Yes, I am your neighbor. So when you said you're about 4 hours away, I thought, yeah, I guess it depends on traffic. And, if you're driving or flying or walking. No, I'm just kidding. Greyhound bussing it. But yeah, it's, we're pretty close.
Yes, we are. Now, see, we're becoming podcast friends, real people friends, in-person friends. You never know where the world's going to take us.
That is so true. I mean, especially now, right?
Right.
There's all kinds of potentials and possibilities and things opening up that, we otherwise never probably would have allowed ourselves to attune to.
Yes, that's 100%. And someone asked me, they'll be like, hey, how many people listen to your podcast and everything? I'm like, I have no idea. But for me, the enjoyment comes from the fact of just talking to people who, I probably would not have spoken to had it not been for me reaching out for guests. So it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
Are you born and raised in LA?
So I was born and raised actually in Orange County, which depending on where you are in Orange County, but specifically where I grew up, which was Fountain Valley, just inland of Huntington Beach. It's probably about from where I'm at, in between West Hollywood and Beverly Hills, about an hour and a half, depending on traffic. Okay. So yeah, I'm born and raised SoCal.
Would you ever go anywhere else?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. And it's interesting is I think my roots will always be in California, and I really love this state. And also, I feel that I'm sort of being guided to go to Florida. Not necessarily just yet, but it's really been on my mind a lot lately. And I've always also thought that I would have done really well and had a heck of a time in New York, Manhattan.
Okay. So what's your niche out there?
How do you mean?
What do you do out in?
Oh, yes. So, I love nature, and there's, an abundance of that here, hikes and things, but yeah, just being outdoors and in nature is sort of my jam. Grounding has been a really big theme in my life, the last few years, especially. I'm not typically somebody who feels really grounded. I tend to be up in the upper chakras a lot more. So grounding is really, really important for everybody, right? Earthing, as they say, but especially for me. You have wide open spaces in Nevada. Do you do hikes, or are you outdoorsy?
I am not. I'm the furthest from being an outdoorsy person.
Yeah.
And I've gone on a hike, but for me, I'm okay, I've been walking for too long. What else are we going to do? I need constant visual stimulations.
Okay.
And so once I see a tree, I'm all right, where's the other one? What are we doing?
So you're more big city, metropolis then, it would seem.
Yes. Give me a big city. I will run around like a 5-year-old.
Okay. Where would you love to be?
London. I do love London.
I've never been.
It's so
It's
pretty.
definitely my bucket list.
I enjoyed it so much. I'm used to like New York, busy city. That I love it. And I feel like London is like the next best thing to it. A lot of people argue with me, but I'm like, hey, it's my preference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. What would you say for you personally is your theme for the year?
Oh, my theme for the year. Oh, that's a good question. No one's asked me that. Um, Besides, like, well, I guess my theme for the year would be to commit and do more than I did last year. So I moved to Vegas to, as we say, get booked and blessed. And it was very continuous. I haven't, like every month that I've been here, I've had a gig, whether it's been paid or not paid, or at least one. Sometimes I've had like a combination of both in a month. And so I'm a person that challenges myself to do more than I did the last time. So coming out fresh, Vegas, not knowing anyone in my industry, really just poking my head out there. To me, it was pretty successful. So this year I'm like, okay, I've met some people. I know a couple of different areas where to go and find some things. So I want to do more than I did last year and just build up on it.
Right.
Yeah. Keep growing. Now with you being, doing a couple of things that all in line, how do you challenge yourself to do more?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. Well, my theme for the year is rich, full expression, right? How can I allow myself in each moment, no matter what's going on, to be as fully expressed as I'm able to be? Because I think a lot of us, modulate. We're taught not to be fully expressed in the moment. And so for me, I'm really challenging myself to push through the fear, which I believe is a blessing. I believe that fear serves us. There's lessons and blessings and all of the things and, delicious challenges that with the right tips and tools, we can move forward and see what's really possible. So for me this year, challenging myself, and it's a challenge simply to let go of attachment. And I'm finding that the more I let go of attachment and needing the thing to actualize in any particular tangible way, or needing it to validate me, it's easier for me to move through it. And it's interesting you asked this because I had such a interesting realization. We're peeling back the onion layers constantly in our life, right? Who am I not? How can I unbecome more of what I was taught and shift into who I am?
Right.
And for so long, I sourced safety in the playing small, and we all do to some degree, for whatever the stories were and the situations and, the perceived traumas in my life. And I finally had the realization the other day, I love myself too much to play small. And so now the driving force, even though the fear is still there, the rejection, humiliation, potential, failure, all the things. But the thought of not giving myself the opportunity to experience all that I am is actually more disruptive, finally, to that fear.
I feel like an epiphany happened? Like when and how did that epiphany happen for you?
Well, I mean, it's been a 20-year odyssey. It really happened a few days ago. I had made a commitment to myself with something, and I was having a conversation with a girlfriend, and, it just sort of casually rolled off my tongue, right? No force, effort, struggle. I wasn't, consciously going, okay, I'm going to speak, kinder to myself, although I've been in that phase for sure. But this was just sort of in rote. I said to my girlfriend, yeah, it's just time. I don't need to hide myself anymore. I really am understanding my value, and I want to serve my gifts and offer and share that value to the world. And she goes, wait a minute. Do you remember do you know what you just said? I'm like eating chips, at a stoplight, checking my text messages, not focused, all the things you're not supposed to do in the car. And I said, no, what did I just say? She's okay, wait, back up. Let me tell you that I'm really noticing a shift in you, because this just so easily, as it should, was an embodied like affirmation that you just said about yourself.
Like a happy accident almost.
Yeah, but I think it's those moments that we can go, oh my gosh, so maybe I actually am starting to shift into greater truth and align, right, with my soul signature, and I am really coming more online into self-love, because I didn't have to, like I said before, I didn't really have to effort my way through it. It just was natural, as it should be, right? But we spend so much time judging ourselves and beating ourselves up and, all the things. And so that to me felt like a significant turning point in my life.
Oh, okay. Do you think you got there by the difference of like environment? So how people, they say, you're at your environment, you are what you're
right.
Has that dynamic changed for you where you're like, oh, this is a free and open space for me to have this type of mindset?
Right. My physical reality hasn't necessarily caught up to the internal, right? Because the third dimensional, as we know, it's very dense, and sometimes it takes longer for things to actualize. Uh-huh. But, I had gone through a relationship, and I realized, after taking a hiatus from dating for a number of reasons, but mainly to go inward and to, remember my truth and heal and all of the things. And, I've always felt journaling is important. Meditation's important. Whatever your process is, to hook up with, source consciousness or whatever you call it, and at the same time, there's something to be said. There's real value in lived experience. So, for example, when you're in a relationship and you're being triggered, I was able to go, oh my gosh, I'm seeing all of these old patterns, right, that I've participated in these old identities that I've adopted for myself, but with newer and higher awareness. So now I have a different appreciation, and I go, okay, I see what this is. And am I ready to let it go? And can I love it and understand that it's really here to shift me and serve me, even though it may not feel so great. And then I'm also able to then thank him for knowingly or unknowing participating in this aspect of my evolution.
Okay. So it's one of those cases of, it sounds like it's one of those moments where you're like, hey, someone may be in your life for a certain amount of time, but
right.
You gain something from them, whether it be good, bad, or in between, or what may happen. You do learn something from somebody.
Absolutely. Right. Because we're all just mirrors and reflections of each other, I believe.
There's a relation to that.
I mean, I'm sure you probably have, many or one significant, relationship or moment where you had an epiphany.
Oh, yeah. You just take so much. And it's always one where it's funny because it comes to you and then you're like, oh, no. And then it just hits you. And you're like, oh,
right?
That thought.
Oh, my gosh. Sometimes it's like a 2x4, that not literal, but, like metaphorical 2x4 that smacks you in the face. And you're going, oh, wait, what?
Right. How did I not see it? Oh, wait, I saw the signs. Oh, yep. Now you're a speaker, an award-winning speaker.
Yes. And you're also a speaker, correct?
Yes. I speak from time to time. I haven't in a while, and I kind of miss it, just being on stage and just sharing my belief, my truth with other people, just so they can understand and find their own.
Yeah.
Like it moves me.
Is there a particular topic or, a pearl of wisdom that you love to share on stage?
Yes,